I thought I would be. Hopefully, everybody hear me. Didn't double check the audio. So I thought we were pushing our luck using my Wi-Fi for another live stream after so many live streams this month. So I thought if I'm on a live stream from my phone, I'm free. I can move a little farther outside of the range of my Wi-Fi box. So we are outdoors right now, and hopefully this works. Hopefully it works. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. Who have we got here? Hello, Sparkster. And thank you, Sparkster, for contributing to Cobra Convergence all month. That was very much appreciated. Hello, Stephen and Samuel and Counterclaws. Hey, it's Comic Tropes. Hey, Comic Tropes. Nice to see you, Chris. Hello, Yojo Banjo and Bob's Dungeon. Hi, everyone. So obviously when I'm doing this, hello, Kevin Maley. Nice to see you. Obviously when I'm doing this, I can't show the chat on the screen, but hopefully that's not too much of a problem. Hello, Beta Ray Bob and Josiah and Dave and Loki Fish and Steven Chaser. How do you do? How can you donate? I think I do have the link to PayPal on the website on HCC788.com, I think. I don't recall, but thank you for asking. Thank you for asking. We have a lot of news. Hello, White Vegeta. Nice to see you. We have a lot of news. Now, of course, I am not your news source, right? If you want the breaking news, you know, go to the Full Force podcast or What's on Joe Mind or the Artist Shark. Hello, Turd Ferguson. Hello, LJ. You know, go to your crack news sources. Thank you, Sparkster. Go to your crack news sources. Hey, Dave. Nice to see you. But we do have a lot of news to talk about. My goodness, a lot of news. So, 50th anniversary watch of Blackula before the stream. I'm glad you got that in under the wire. Blackula, I have seen that one. It's an interesting movie from a different era. Crack is whack. Thank you, Jasper. Hello, Woodman. Hey, how do you do? Yes, lots of SDCC news, tons of it. First, though, I want to go over the Cobra Convergence. Of course, check HCC788.com for the full calendar. But last week, since our last live stream, we had Action Robot Punch, we had Anything Joe's, we had They Gone, and A Toy Kinda Mood. We had Codename Newtwo Vero 2, G.I. Joe Berg, and Star Joe's, and Cobra Lang, and Rob Vegas. And not Joe Colton today. Joe Colton had some personal things come up, which is fine. That's totally understandable. Hello, Daniel. Nice to see you. Hey, it's Hans. How do you do? Yes, I'm outside. I'm outdoors. I feel like I'm inhaling all this fresh air. Hello, Andrew. Andrew, the guy so nice they named him twice. Nice to see you. So next, coming up this week, we are going to have Podcast from the Pit, Fun School Ronnie, Order of Battle podcast, the Skull Reviews, and Articulated Points. And then for the final day, I'll do a special wrap-up video. So who we got? Hello, Brad. Hello, Spaced Cobra. So thanks for being here, everybody. So it's really hot out here. I've got some shade. But it's really hot. It's like, last I checked, it was 105 Fahrenheit, which is hot. There is this is one reason why I think Fahrenheit is the measurement for temperature that should be used for weather, because when it is this hot, I think you need a 3-digit number to fully express how hot it is. All right, so I just don't think like a 2-digit number is big enough to express how blazing hot it is right now. So Fahrenheit, we're going with Fahrenheit this time because yeah, that's when it's this hot, it's gotta have, you gotta have 1 digit more Yeah, 105 Celsius and you're dead. All right, that's. Oh, thank you, Comic Tropes. We'll stay inside with air conditioning. Would AC slow down Serpentor? Possibly, because like if he's cold-blooded. But I do have a refreshment. I'm drinking ice cold water out of a boot. So yeah, I'm refreshed. Hello, Jasper Bird Cycle. Nice to see you. Okay. Yeah, Celsius for science, Fahrenheit for everyday life, and honestly, yeah. I feel like if I converted it to Celsius, it wouldn't, in fact, like get across the idea of how frickin' blazing hot it is. Hello, Gray Fox. Hey, it's Rob Vegas. How do you do? Hello, Nyquist. So yes, hello from outside. So I just went over the Cobra Convergence people that are coming up. Yeah, 105 Kelvin would not be good either. Yes, good point. Thank you. That's a very good point. Hey there, Firefly. Yeah, it's sure, we'll call it bootlicker. Get it? Yeah. Anyway, hello, hey, hello, Treasure for Triggers. How do you do? Yeah, 33 degrees in Japan. All right. Well, hello, Japan from the United States. Nice to see you. It is Tuesday. It is Tuesday, which means there's a new half of the battle. So go check out Tim's video. He did a video about desert vehicles. And, you know, I try to never miss a half the battle video. I've been friends with Timmer for quite some time. I really like the guy and I like to support what he does. So half the battle, and there's a helicopter flying. Can you hear that? I think it was not a police helicopter. They're not looking for me. That was, and it didn't look like a news helicopter. I'm pretty sure it's a medical helicopter for the hospital that's right over there. Anyway, yeah, will Timmer have enough budget for a full battle? See, this is why you gotta support the Patreon so that he can purchase the other half of the battle. Hello, Jenna. Nice to see you. Hello, Cyclonus. So Timmer, also I wanted to say thank you to Travis Moody, who allowed me to use the picture of classified Serpentor, which was taken at San Diego Comic-Con. We have much to talk about. I have a list of the stuff that was announced at San Diego Comic-Con, but the most important. Will I ever visit Timmer in Belgium? I would love to. I would love to. Somebody buy me a ticket. Buy me a ticket to Belgium, and I will go and support Timmer. I will go. I'll shake that guy's hand, and I'll rip his mask off to see what he's wearing under the mask. I'm pretty sure it's a lizard face. Larry Hama was inducted into the Eisner Hall of Fame. That is probably the most important news. Larry Hama has gotten some. Yes, Thane, I don't have my legal pad. Larry Hama has gotten some industry recognition, and I think that's deserved and probably overdue. We know Larry Hama from his work on the G.I. Joe comic book series, but he's done a lot. He's been in the industry for decades. He has had several memorable runs on different series, and maybe he hadn't been recognized as much as he should have, as much as some of his contemporaries had, for his work in the industry. So, but now he is. Now he's actually received that honor. He has received the recognition, and he has been inducted into the Will Eisner Hall of Fame. So I'm very happy about that, and I did want to say something about that. I wanted to say something about that. I think Marvel in particular owes a big debt of gratitude to Larry. because his efforts on the G.I. Joe comic book series brought a lot of it kept people interested in the series. First of all, after you picked it up, you wanted to keep reading it. That's important. But for a lot of us, we were much younger. We were younger kids, and for a lot of us, that was our first comic book experience. I know that Chris from Comic Tropes has said that he picked up Transformers first. I picked up G.I. Joe first, but it's the same idea. A lot of those were our first comic book experiences. So we kind of learned to read and appreciate comic books from G.I. Joe. And the fact that G.I. Joe was published by Marvel meant that, when you pick up and you read a G.I. Joe comic book, you get all those ads for Marvel. You get the bullpen bulletin. You get Stan's soapbox. You get all of this, immersion in Marvel, even though you're reading a comic book that's not in the Marvel universe. So when you transition to other comic books, it's only natural to pick up other comics that you've seen, that advertised, that you've heard talk about. So at one point, G.I. Joe was Marvel's top subscribed title. Like, G.I. Joe had more subscriptions from Marvel than X-Men, than Spider-Man, than any of those other, big name superhero titles. Joe never got a lot of respect because it was a toy book, it was a licensed book, but it sold. It sold, and the TV advertising had a lot to do with that. But if the comic hadn't been good, people would have picked up one issue and then wouldn't have continued to follow it. People continued to follow it because it was good, because it had a compelling story. So I honestly think that Larry's work created a lot of Marvel fans in that era. A lot of readers that went on to purchase and read other Marvel titles because they got hooked by that one title. So congratulations, Larry. I'll raise the boot. Yeah, important runs on Wolverine and Avengers, among other books. Yes, exactly. And maybe none of his works have received the acclaim of like The Watchmen or Dark Knight Returns or something like that, but they were still vitally important to the industry. Hello, Sean Dowling, nice to see you. They were still like vitally important to the industry. So congratulations, Larry. It's long overdue. The guy has contributed so much. Dave said I learned English reading G.I. Joe and Wolverine when I was a kid. See, this is the kind of thing that that Larry's work has contributed, and I think that deserves recognition, and finally it's getting recognition. I mean, he is Mr. Comic Book, right? He has been in the industry for ages, and correct, and still writing G.I. Joe for IDW currently, and that's a good reminder. Comic Tropes has an interview with Larry on his channel, so go and check that interview. It's really fascinating. He has such a depth of knowledge, and he can talk about a lot of the industry and the artists and the techniques, and he's just an encyclopedia of the comic book art form. So do check out that interview of Larry from Comic Tropes. So yeah, congratulations, Larry. Well done. Very happy that he's gotten the recognition. So awesome. Anyway, what was next? Oh yeah, Oh, hey, hello, Rob Irizarry. Hello, Racktime Rob. Nice to see you. I have issues of Super Friends edited by Larry when I was 5. Yeah. He was, yeah, that's another thing. He was a very young editor at the back then as well. I think he's done like almost everything. I can't remember if he's done lettering or not, but he probably has. In fact, I'm pretty sure he has. So yeah, if there about anything that you can do, at least on the creative side of a comic book, Larry has done it. So yeah, I'm really happy for him, and it's just something. It's good for GI Joe because it's also a little bit of recognition for his work on that. But more importantly, I mean, Larry's career is far more than GI Joe, far more, and yeah, it's nice to know that other industry professionals recognize that. So that's the most important news to come out of San Diego Comic-Con. But there's more. There's more. We need an IMDb for comic book people. I agree. There was a comic book website, and I can't remember what it was, but there was a comic book website that had like a lot of like encyclopedic information, a lot of reference material. I can't remember. Comic Pro probably knows, but he was a new editor hired by DC for their explosion, but then got let go because it imploded. That's not the way you want your explosions to go. Anyway, hello JK Siege, nice to see you. Yes, I hopped on to JK Siege's live opening of a Hall of Fame Destro, so that was fun and nice to see you. Jasper gives the golf clap. Very good, very good. But yes, I do agree that like there needs to be a centralized resource for comic book information. Hello, hey Byron, JoeFan82, nice to see you. Yeah, well, you have the day off. Hey, it's nice to see you. Nice to actually see you in here. I know you can't make it to the live stream very often, so it's really cool to see you. We got time. I'm not in a rush. Has anyone seen the classified retro figures at Walmart yet? I have not. Yeah, Byron in the chat. Hello, Matt Rubin. Nice to see you as well. What was I saying? Yeah, we will. The GI Joe brand team for Hasbro had the first ever in-person panel for GI Joe Classified, and since it was a GI Joe Classified panel, they had GI Joe Classified reveals, and we're going to talk about those. Just circling back though to the classified stuff or the retros, really anything at Walmart or Target for that matter. I'm still only seeing the movie stuff, like the Snake Eyes movie figures, and they're not moving, and they're not gonna move. It's not like they're suddenly gonna have a surge of popularity, and they haven't marked them down either. So I don't know what's going on with that, but it seems like Byron says bought a few retro figures from Ola. That's nice. That's great. I haven't seen any. I've seen zero. But they got plenty of Snake Eyes movie figures. And I have all of them already. I don't need any of those. So yeah. Only Snake Eyes movie figures I see now are 3 female characters. I'm still seeing a few Snake Eyes and Storm Shadows. So, RTD1 says live on tape from Hollywood, almost live on videotape. Rob says I've seen Cobra Officer Spirit, Storm Shadow at Walmart. I need to go to your Walmart because mine has none of that, and I have checked recently, and I've checked more than one. Bob says I got my video for Cobra Convergence up on Friday. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hello, Kyle. Trying to singular kill the lion, not moving the movie figures or excess Cobra Commanders, Lady J's. And I was seeing some Cobra Commanders and Lady J's for a little while, but I'm not seeing those anymore either. I've literally only seen movie stuff, like, and absolutely nothing else. But you know, I need to get out, maybe get out of town for a minute and check other places. Sorry, I've got you on a table here, and the camera's shaking. Byron says also snagged Alley Viper and Bat from Walmart. Had to get there at 0600. Well, that's good for you, but Alley Viper is your favorite guy, so I'm glad you were able to get one. And JK Siege picked up 2 Retro Stalkers. Very good, very good, very good. Somebody did send me a Retro Stalker, and that's a really good figure. It really is. Yeah, so yeah, there's some mention of some Lady J and Flint. And again, I had been seeing some, really seeing mostly Lady J and Cobra Commander for a little while, but honestly now I'm not seeing any of those. I have at none of the Walmarts or any of the Targets anywhere in this area. Haven't seen any of those. Target has the movie figures on sale for $11. That's a nice idea. It would be nice if they, I mean, they might move a little faster. For shows at Walmart in Reno, went to 3 and there were none. Yeah, that's the issue right now, and I don't know. Yes, Peg Warmers. I thought you were plugging the Peg Warmers show. Watch Peg Warmers on YouTube. But yeah, those are very much Peg Warmers. Yes, I'm not drinking from Das Boot. I'm drinking from Dis Boot. Anyway, so let's talk about. So just so we have enough time to discuss them, okay? Let's talk about the classified figure reveals from San Diego Comic-Con, from the panel. For anyone disappointed, yes, that's correct. Peg Warmers is doing a G.I. Joe classified episode for their next episode, so do check that out. Kevin, who does that show, is a very good friend, and I like him very much, and I do my best to catch it live when I can, but sometimes I'm working on my own stuff at that time, but when I can't catch it live, I just go back and watch the replay. Same thing with Transformers. Lucky GameStop is finding a studio series normally. Okay, well, see, I don't know that it's, well, obviously it's some kind of distribution problem, but it's not maybe not necessarily a supply chain problem, and more of a there's no space on the shelves for anything problem. I mean, if they would put Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow on clearance, I might pick up another Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, you know, just to have a spare of each. But I don't need. Well, I'm not going to pay full price for them. That would be ridiculous, especially when I already have them. And I really only need one of each. This is not one that I'm going to be army building. Hey, hello MCDJ ACDC. Hello Daniel. Nice to see you. Okay, let's talk about San Diego Comic-Con reveals. First of all, Sergeant Slaughter. Okay, they had some photos of Sergeant Slaughter. I have not seen all of them, but from what I have seen, the figure looks really good. Looks very much like the version. well, version 2 figure slash animated series appearance. And I think that's the way to go. I think the version 1 figure, I think the version 1 figure looks better, but the version 2 figure I think is just more iconic. Yeah, it looks really good. Somebody was, I saw somebody remarking that, wow, this Sergeant Slaughter is way more, you know, muscular than the wrestler was, right? The wrestler, he was kind of a big, you know, bulky, stocky guy, and this figure is just all ripped like Hulk Hogan times 3. But and like, I get that, but Sergeant Slaughter has, for G.I. Joe at least, has always been kind of a reimagining of that character for the G.I. Joe universe. And he's, the Sergeant Slaughter for the G.I. Joe universe is like absurdly muscular and like super strong, super powerful. I mean, lasers cannot stop the Cobra bats. Only Sergeant Slaughter's fists can stop the Cobra bats. Yes, Sergeant Slaughter the G.I. Joe and Sergeant Slaughter the Pro Wrestler are technically different characters. Correct. Oh, thank you, Dave. Sergeant Slaughter was ripped in the cartoons. Exactly. So they're really trying to make it kind of animated series accurate. That's how he was in the cartoon, big ripped superhero. Yeah, that's exactly. That's what I'm saying. So if you're coming to it from like a wrestling perspective and you want like a wrestling accurate Sergeant Slaughter, there are other figures that do that, and that is not this. This is the Sergeant Slaughter of the G.I. Joe era. Yeah, Captain America level strong. Basically as strong as he needed to be for any given situation. But it looks good. And it looks like... Thane says Flint over Duke. At least as far as the figure goes, I really like Flint. Did Robert Remus voice the Sergeant Slaughter character in the Sunbow cartoon? Yes, he did. And in the movie, as well. Oh, by the way, Sergeant Slaughter's daughter Kelly has her own YouTube channel, and she has been on Zazel Phoenix's show, Sergeant Slaughter's Slaughterhouse, as have I. So if you'd like to see and hear from the Slaughter daughter, check her out on YouTube, I'm sure Zazel has links in his videos as well. Yeah, Slaughter daughter, and she's actually very, very nice. She's very nice. I've been able to interact with her a couple of times now, and she's really cool. And if you'd like to see us on the same screen, then check out the first video of Cobra Convergence 6 on Sergeant Slaughter's Slaughterhouse, where we talked about the 2-part animated episode Worlds Without End, and that was fun. Yeah, Slaughter daughter is great. I agree. And like, I'm not a wrestling fan, you know. I just never have been, probably never will be, but I like Sergeant Slaughter. I met him before as well. He's very, very nice, really cool guy. And Kelly Slaughter is also really cool. So, you know, I like good people. I like nice people. So it's been really cool to hang out with them. And thank you again, Zazel. Sergeant Slaughter actually recorded a little promo bit for Cobra Convergence that is in Zazel's video, in this Sergeant Slaughter's Slaughterhouse video. DC 4L says it just hung up this sketch of Sergeant Slaughter guy from JoeFest. Great, I'm glad you like it. I need to do more Sergeant Slaughter sketches. Actually, I haven't done a lot of sketching at all lately. I need to do more drawing. I need to get back into that. But that's not all. we're hung up on Sergeant Slaughter, and that's okay because that's not a bad thing to get hung up on. But there's more. Hello, David Sharp. Nice to see you. We are talking right now about the classified series reveals from San Diego Comic-Con. We talked a bit about Sergeant Slaughter, and I do want to preface this that not everybody is into classified figures, and that's cool. That's fine, but they do exist, and that is in the news right now. So we are going to talk about them. Nyquist Mrs. Fat Sarge. Yeah, that's the good old days of Fat Sarge. Maybe someday Fat Sarge will come back. But the next, they gave us a peek at Dr. Mindbender. Oh, I'm sorry. The reason I brought up Sergeant Slaughter and Dr. Mindbender is because they both went up for pre-order, and I was able to order both a Sergeant Slaughter and a Dr. Mindbender. So someday, by and by, sometime in the year 2025, I should get and review Sergeant Slaughter and Dr. Mindbender. Super 7 has their Cobra Recruitment Center. No affiliation with Cobra Convergence, but it should be an affiliation. I should be getting sponsors. I mean, I don't own the property of Cobra. I feel like I should at this point. Sweat equity. I put sweat equity in it, but Hasbro, being a big corporation as it is just not going to turn over Cobra to me. As wise as that decision would be, they're just not going to do it. But as sad as it is to say, not everything related to Cobra is associated with Cobra Convergence. But we did get a couple announcements. We got a couple announcements of some upcoming figures. These were just names. These were just names. They did not have like digital mock-ups or anything like that. But we know we are going to get Low Light, and we are going to get a Trouble Bubble with a Televiper. So that's coming up. Low Light and a Trouble Bubble with a Televiper. So that is another Cobra Army Builder and another vehicle. This is something that I really wasn't sure we would be getting a lot of, because for the 6-inch scale, vehicles are so hard to do and they can be expensive. But they have actually given us quite a few vehicles. Really more than I thought they would. Really more than I thought. It glugs when I tip it. Hello, Draws. Nice to see you. So, for the most part, for the 6-inch scale, they're only going to be able to do small vehicles up to medium size. Like the HISS tank is probably about the biggest that we will get. I mean, they could go bigger, but man, people are complaining about the price of the HISS tank, and if they actually did something bigger than that, that would have to be more expensive. I think people would lose their minds. So, I would expect to see like a Vamp and maybe some more motorcycles, but a Trouble Bubble, a Trouble Bubble. Hello, Sean Beckett, nice to see you. A blowtorch would be actually, that probably would be cool. They may get around, they did barbecue. If they did barbecue, they should be able to do blowtorch. Hello, Photo Viper, nice to see you. Thank you for being here. Hello, Toy Bounty Hunter. So let's see. So those are the two that were announced. Only the names were announced. There's no early graphics on those, just the names. Yes, see, Rob is on the right path here. The 6-inch scale USS Flag. Why can't we get that, huh? Why can't we get that? Hey, it's Mr. 1013. Hey, nice to see you, sir. Former Cobra Convergence contributor. I actually did want to reach out to you for the current Cobra Convergence, but I couldn't find your contact information. So nice to see you there. Send me. You know what my email address is. Send me an email. Thank you, Josiah. What's on Joe Mind Friday nights. I did mention What's on Joe Mind earlier, and Rob Irizarry is in the chat. But yes, What's on Joe Mind will be coming up on Friday. Never miss their show. And that's another one that I try to show up in the live chat as often as I can. I try. Sometimes I miss it. Yeah, see, Rob Irizarry, right there. He says hello. I try to never miss it. Oh, thank you, Dave. Classified Vamp, which later can be remolded in as the Stinger and the Tiger Force Vamp. You see, that's why I think they've got to give us a Vamp. I actually thought they might do the Vamp before the Hiss, because the Vamp is very versatile. You can redo the Vamp in numerous ways. The Vamp has been used many, many times. And we know how Hasbro likes to reuse things. But because the Vamp can be reissued, in so many different ways, it's just inevitable. They will definitely give us a Vamp at some point. They'd be crazy not to. I mean, the only reason they wouldn't is if they're like allergic to money, right? So, hello Rodimus, nice to see you. So if Hasbro is like, what's this? There's too much money around. I think I've developed an allergy. I guess I won't do a classified Vamp, unless something like that is happening. Then we'll probably get a Vamp at some point. But that's not one of the reveals this time. We are going to get a retro card back Crimson Guard, which will be great for army builders because the Crimson Guard is going to be very, very popular. That's going to be a very, very popular figure. Let's see, we got yeah, and a retro card back Snake Eyes. So 2 more figures on retro card backs, Crimson Guard and Snake Eyes. Okay, let's talk about Snake Eyes for a second. Okay, let's talk about Snake Eyes. I had said in an old review that I felt like Snake Eyes was an overexposed character. There's just too much of him around. You remember back in the classic comic book series, for a time they gave Snake Eyes top billing over G.I. Joe. Speaking of which, Codename Mewtwo Vero 2, did a review of some of those comic book issues, the ones that had Transformers in them. Comic Tropes assisted with that. That was really cool. So check out Codename Mewtwo Vero 2. The point is, there was a lot of Snake Eyes. Too much Snake Eyes. But after a while, right, I felt like we had kind of gotten out of that. Because for a while there was no G.I. Joe product at all, right? Following the 50th anniversary series, there was no Joe anywhere. So I felt like we had kind of gotten away from that overexposure of Snake Eyes, and we could have a little bit more Snake Eyes. But at this point, I think we're right back in it. We're right back into that overexposure of that character. I mean, he's a popular character, and of course they're going to do a lot of them. It's like printing money. They're going to be people who just collect Snake Eyes, and that's fine. And, it's hard to mess up Snake Eyes, right? Snake Eyes is a cool-looking character, regardless of which outfit you put him in. You got to do Snake Eyes every so often. Keep him in the line. He's like Spidey or Iron Man and Marvel Edge. Yeah, and that's understandable. There are a lot of them. There are a lot of them, and like I said, yeah, I know they're gonna do it, but I don't need that much Snake Eyes, and I have a feeling that a lot of people are. Oh, thank you, Daniel, for the super chat, for the sticker with the hippos. Thank you very much. I do rather resemble a hippo. Thank you very much, Daniel, for your support. So there are lots of Snake Eyes, and we're getting more. We're getting more Snake Eyes. Now, I say that if you are a Snake Eyes fan, if you like the Snake Eyes, it's a difficult figure to do wrong, right? Because just put him in black, black mask and stuff, and he looks good. Give him some stuff, some stuff, and he looks good. It's hard to do it wrong. That's why the original design, the Ron Rudat design from '82, was so perfect, because it's it's so elemental. It's so elemental that you almost uh, can't can't do wrong with it. Yes, Joe, we did talk about Larry getting inducted into the Will Eisner Hall of Fame earlier. I wouldn't mind Commando Snake Eyes in 1991 Deco. No doubt, at some point they will get to that. But the thing is, oh, thank you, Daniel. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. The super chats actually do help a lot. I don't. It's not something I usually ask for, but it is something I really appreciate, and it makes a difference. It makes a difference. And for those who are not aware, doing this channel is a large part of my income right now. So that kind of stuff really makes a big difference, and I really, really do appreciate it. So if you only want one Snake Eyes, the point is, if you only want one Snake Eyes, it almost doesn't matter which one you get, because it'll be a good one. Thank you, MCDJ ACDC. What's next on your original G.I. Joe line to acquire and review? Thanks for your other to do, and CC6. Thank you very much. Next, those are cicadas. I didn't know. Can you hear that? Yeah, those are cicadas. And sirens. There's a hospital about a mile and a half. No. Yeah, no, it's less than a mile. Yeah, about less than a mile from a hospital. So we get sirens, we get ambulances, we get helicopters all through here. It's a very peaceful and relaxing neighborhood. But the next to acquire, I'm actually looking at some of the 90s stuff, because that's where the biggest gaps are in my vintage collection. So some 90s vehicles, some 90s figures. 1994 is especially challenging. Oh, thank you, Daniel. It would help if you talk about what would happen if Batman and Snake Eyes teamed up. Yeah, so Batman and Snake Eyes, if they teamed up tonight, see, a lot of people do Batman versus Snake Eyes, but if Batman teamed up with Snake Eyes, basically they would take down Cobra just by themselves. Snake Eyes could almost do it by himself. Batman could almost do it by himself, but working together, I think they could do it. And hope they don't get too ambitious. Hope they don't get too ambitious, because if they wanted to take over, they could rule the world. Bad Eyes, yes. Bad Eyes or Snake Man. If they now you say team up, I assume you mean working together and not like joined together in some kind of like mutant amalgamation of Snake Eyes and Batman. I don't think any of us want to think about what kind of monstrosity that would be. Let's not think too much about that. That's nightmare fuel right there. Thinking about a giant mutant Snake Eyes Batman. Yeah, there you go. So, I'm happy to help, Daniel. Happy to help. There's more. Okay, so anyway, I didn't want to get too hung up on Snake Eyes. I didn't want to get too hung up on Snake Eyes, but my point is, if you do like Snake Eyes, there are like a lot of figures out there, and if you only want one, just pick up any of them, and any of them will be a pretty good Snake Eyes. Thank you, Dave. Batman and Snake Eyes actually fought and worked together on Fortnite Zero comic book. Okay, cool. I have not read that, but that's interesting. That's very cool. That's very cool. Okay, the big one. And they actually showed off like a pre-production model. Is Serpentor. So a classified Serpentor. We knew we were getting Serpentor because there were some teaser photos leaked. But what we didn't know is that we're also getting the Air Chariot. And that Air Chariot it's obviously inspired by the classic vehicle, but it's updated, and the updates are pretty impressive. Like, this is one thing that that you can do with the 6-inch scale. if you're gonna upscale things, if you're gonna take the vintage design and upscale them, you have to add something. Um, um, Sean Beckett had been appreciating Mark Pennington's concept art more and more. Yes, Sean, and that's another thing that I talked about a little bit in the last video. We need to talk about Mark Pennington more. I love Ron Rudat, and Ron Rudat did some of the most enduring toy designs. But Mark Pennington was in there too, and Mark Pennington also did some designs that all of us know and remember and love. So we do need to talk about Mark Pennington more. So I'm going to make a point to do that. Serpentor, with an impressively large air chariot. That was exceptional. It looks really good. I mean, it looks really, really good. I think everybody is aware that I'm not the biggest fan of Serpentor, but I'm not the biggest fan of Crocmaster either. But I think the Crocmaster figure looks great, and the Serpentor figure, from what we've seen, looks like it's going to do really well. Rob says Mark Pennington is doing designs for Operation Recall. That is correct. That is correct. Operation Recall. We talked quite a bit about Operation Recall last week, and Ron Rudat is as well. Do check out Operation Recall on Kickstarter if you haven't already. I'm backing it, so it's something that I'm happy to support because because it's going to be really cool, first of all, but also because it's being created and worked by people that I really like and that I really care about and that I really want to see succeed. So if you haven't checked out Operation Recall, do check that out. I am backing it. Not going to tell you to back something that I wouldn't. So this is something that I am actually backing. It is funded. Now they're just going through the unlocks, the stretch goals, and they still have some time. They still have some time, so we can unlock even more figures. So, Draw says, I love how Operation Recall came together. Me too. It's a really clever idea. I think one downside to that idea is that at this stage they can't show you prototypes for some of the figures because some of the figures still have to go through the process. But bringing in those creative people to do that process and to go through that creative process with these characters, that is part of what the project is. That's part of the Operation Recall. So it's a little bit of a trade-off. Yeah, you don't get to see some prototypes yet, but you kind of get to be involved with and be kind of in a front row seat for the process of creating those. And I think that's a really, really fun, clever idea. I've never seen anybody do it before. I think it's really, really clever. It glugs. Storm Shadow Joker team up. Daniel says, I don't think a Storm Shadow Joker team up would work. Yeah, Storm Shadow's just not psycho enough. And the Joker is not, he's not a fighter on the level of Storm Shadow. Yeah, that one, yeah, you're right. Call Sign Longbow, that's another one. There are some really, really good O-ring figure Kickstarters out there right now. Operation Longbow keeps it. Call Sign Longbow is another one, and Operation Recall, getting switched. It's Call Sign Longbow, Operation Recall, and Call Sign Longbow already got funded, and that Kickstarter is complete. The Operation Recall Kickstarter, though, is still going, and you've got some time to jump into that and unlock more figures. So that's really cool. So Serpentor, will I get it? It depends on how much it is and whether I can afford it. I would like to. I'd like to get all of this stuff, of course, so that even if it's not something specifically that I want, it's still something that I can review. I can get it in front of the camera, I can show you guys, and you can decide if you like it or not, before you actually get it. That's one of the reasons I like to put things. Oh, thank you, Chad. I've been busy adulting lately. Yeah, me too. I missed a few live streams here and there, so I missed your experience at JoeFest. How was it? The JoeFest experience was a lot of fun. The JoeFest experience, I mean, it's always good. I get to reconnect with people. I get to meet new people. And that's really why I keep going back. Always at the end of JoeFest, I feel a little emotional because I know I'm not going to see a lot of these people in person for at least another year. But yeah, it's a way to connect with people that I find meaningful, and I really wish I could do more often. Yeah, it draws. Joe Colton has an excellent Serpentor cosplay. That is absolutely correct. So Serpentor obviously is a big one, but there are a few more, and the last few they didn't have like physical prototypes, but they did have like computer models, computer renders of the figures, and just the figure sculpt and design. They didn't have any color, no color on it. But we can get an idea of what the figure's going to look like and what some of the accessories that they come with. So we saw Rock and Roll. And Rock and Roll, by the way, comes with something that looks a lot closer to a classic M60 than the original figure. If you recall, the original figure had a machine gun that was like a cross between an M60 or one of the German MG series, like an MG42. This one looks like it's going to be a lot closer to an actual M60, and I'm very interested in. I'd like to see how they do it. The best vintage M60, in my opinion, is the one that came with Sub-Zero. I reviewed Sub-Zero, and even though that's the best M60, it's still wrong. It's still wrong. Because they put the plug for the ammo belt on the wrong side. That's just, it still bugs me. There's no reason to put it on the wrong side. There's no reason to put it on the wrong side. Just do it right. Just do it right. But anyway, so we got to see Rock and Roll. Looks really good. We got to see Torpedo. I'm not as invested in Torpedo. I just never have been. But it's a good-looking Torpedo. All right, it looks good. It's a good-looking Torpedo. We got Copperhead, and Copperhead looks like he comes with a Luger. I want to get a closer look at some of the accessories that they mocked up for it. And the accessories could change, you know, don't get too attached to them, they could change. But one of them looks like a Luger. I think Copperhead comes with a Luger. And then finally, Shipwreck and Polly. So yes, Shipwreck is going to come with Polly. Rob says, I like the weapons choice for Rock and Roll. I was dreading those dopey Gatling guns. Yes. We've had the Gatling guns reissued a couple of times now. Actually, more than a couple of times, because it was on the Ram, and it was with Roadblock, and it was on the Ram, and it's going to be on the Tiger Force Ram. So they've reissued the Gatling guns a few times. It's time for something else. They are doing something else. Big gurgles. Yeah, so and Shipwreck and all of these figures are based more or less on their version 1 design. So Rock and Roll will have the bullet bandoliers. Torpedo will be in the wetsuit, but he'll have a removable mask and everything. Copperhead looks like, well, I mean, no, actually there were two. Oh, good grief! We're gonna get a Python Patrol Copperhead. We're gonna get a Python Patrol Copperhead probably. If he's not wearing yellow panties, then I don't want it. If classified Python Patrol Copperhead is not wearing yellow underwear on the outside of his clothes, it's not accurate. Not accurate. And Shipwreck is based on the version 1 design. Lester says, how's the weather in Oklahoma? It is hot and humid. And we've got cicadas buzzing around, which you can probably hear. I have a feeling Copperhead will be a Python patrol first, like Tiger Force guys. That's possible. They had that's I mean that's a pattern. That is a pattern that they've been doing. Now, when they announced it, they did not announce a Python patrol Copperhead. They announced Copperhead. So maybe they're going to break with the trend this time, and that's cool. But the water moccasin would be a pretty good vehicle. That's a medium-sized vehicle that could be done on a classified scale. It'd be a higher end. It'd be like along the same lines as the Vamp. But anyway, those are all of the San Diego Comic-Con classified figure reveals that I saw. I do want to. I've been thinking about something though, because as we've seen the packaging for some of these, it brings me back to something that we had talked about. Rob says, I think Copperhead is general release, so no Python patrol since that's a Target exclusive. So, yeah, we will see. Hasbro likes to reuse things. I think it's just not so much a question of if, but when and how. So if it's gonna if you're gonna do a Python Copperhead, you got to do it right. So we had talked about plastic-free packaging some weeks back, and I was withholding judgment. I still am kind of withholding judgment because I don't have any of it actually in hand. But we've seen a little bit more of it, okay? So, like with deluxe packaging, it's not all that different from like the Snake Supreme Cobra Commander, the earlier San Diego Comic-Con figure that had like the really elaborate, cardboard box. So, though, like Dr. Mindbender, not all that different. Serpentor likely won't be all that different. And like there's some really good artwork for the Sergeant Slaughter figure. For vehicles though, what I was thinking though, and was for vehicles, it's really not that different from a vintage vehicle because we got artwork on vintage vehicles anyway, back then, back in the 80s and 90s. So that actually feels a little bit retro. It feels a little bit vintage to have like the no plastic, straight cardboard box for the vehicles. We've seen at least a mock-up of the box for the Tiger Force Ram and Duke, and I think that looks fine. It looks fine. For the individual figures, though, I think it really depends on the artwork. Since you're committing that much real estate to the artwork has really got to be stellar, right? It's really got to sell it because that's basically the only thing that's selling it. So at least visually on a shelf, right? Somebody walks in and they don't know what they want. They want a figure, they want a classified figure, and they see that on the shelf. That artwork has really got to sell it. So for the individual figures, I think it really, really depends on the artwork. And the artwork that I've seen so far is for Kamakura, and I really don't like that art style. And it's not a knock against the artist, it's a personal preference. It really is just a personal preference. And a lot of people do like that art style. I am not one of them. And that's I think where you run into a problem is like if the art doesn't hit, if the art doesn't sell it, then oh, hello Dagon, nice to see you. Almost didn't and thank you for your Cobra Convergence contribution, Dagon. Thank you very much for being here as well. So that's kind of how I feel about it. I understand the reasons, I understand the environmental reasons, and I totally get that. And I don't disagree with it. And also, there's no point in complaining about it because they're doing it, right? It's not something that, they're doing it, whether we want it or not. They're doing it. But man, if the artwork is in any way subpar or in any way doesn't really capture and sell the figure in the box, then it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. Because one nice thing about classified figures, and in general figures of that scale, is they look nice. I mean, they're designed to look nice. They're designed really to be bought by adults and, you know, displayed. So they're made to look nice. And you're putting them in a box where you can't see them. All right? When you can see them, even if the box art isn't what you like, even if you think the box art stinks, you could still, you know, see the figure and like the figure. So now you like the art director, who whichever art director it is. Comic Tropes identifies as an adult. Thanks. I'm working on that myself. I'm getting there step by step. And thank you, Dagon. So yeah, the whichever art director at Hasbro is in charge of the packaging for G.I. Joe Classified, has their work cut out for them. Josiah, thank you for the super chat. It is time, yes, and I am going to wrap it up. I'm just leaving with this point. The artwork for the classified boxes, the no plastic classified boxes, has, I mean, some of the artwork is great already, but it essentially needs to take a step up. It's got to ramp up, and it's got to really, it's got to sell it. It's got to sell it, and some of it hasn't. You know, honestly, some of the box art we've gotten so far has not. Some of the figures I've purchased because I wanted the figure, but the box art was really not. It's not my preference. So we will see. You know, I can't judge it until I've actually seen it, until I actually have it in hand. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, yes, it is time. It is time. Thank you everyone for watching. I guess I will wrap it up. I have been working a lot. I've been kind of tired, so I guess I should. So I will wrap it up. We will do this again next week. This is the last. Yeah, this is the last. Well, I've lost track of the days. This is the last live stream of Cobra Convergence 6. There will be more stuff coming up. Again, coming up next, podcast from the pit, Fun School Ronnie, Order of Battle podcast, the Skull Reviews, and Articulated Points. Make sure you check those guys out. Links are all at HCC788.com. And Daniel says, I remember when you were a young man. That's good. I don't remember that, but I'm glad somebody does. So yes, I will see you all again next week. It will be after Cobra Convergence, and we will be looking for the next phase. But for tonight, I'm going to say good night, and we'll see you all soon. Good night, everybody, and have a great evening. Bye-bye. See you all later.